Hi, I'm Dave Sanko, and this is Coffee in the Capitol. I'm filling in for our regular host, Joe Gertis. Joining me today is Representative Stan Saylor, the chair of the House Appropriations Committee for the past 5 years, but he's been in the legislature since 1993. A taxpayer advocate and friend of local government, he represents the 94th District in southeastern York County. Welcome, Representative Saylor.
I'm glad to be with you today.
As chair of the House Appropriations Committee, you're one of the key players in the state finances and budgeting. Pennsylvania recently passed a no tax increase budget pretty early, but it's only a partial budget. Can you tell us a little about that?
So what we did is I crafted a budget that is basically 5/12 or 5 months budget, or 42% of our spending of the previous year. We made sure we wanted to send a clear message to our educational system, higher ed as well as K through 12, that we expected them to be back in school this fall, so we fully funded those. We wanted to send a clear message to those who are bondholders of our debt that we were going to pay our debt, so we fully funded those kind of things. We funded some things like in healthcare at 75%, also because we knew, David, that there were going to be additional costs. So we'll come back in November after the election, and we'll hopefully finish up the budget in some shape or form. We won't know to the end of August, 1st of September, actually how much this COVID-19 has cost us in dollars and cents. We're trying to figure out what are our priorities as we move forward.
Well, the partial budget did not address any changes to state police funding. Governor Wolf has proposed charging local taxpayers twice for state police services. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I told the governor years ago he was wrong in the way he's been handling it. I think he should work with the township supervisors and borough associations across the state to come up with a plan of some kind that's acceptable to all taxpayers and legislators. I have a plan in that basically where you could hire state police would be cheaper maybe than local police. But so there's a lot of options out there that some people have talked about allowing the sheriff departments in each county be able to use to be like the local police department as well as they do in other states. That's very controversial with police chiefs and everybody else. Sure. So I just think we all have to come together and find a solution, but the governor's solution is not a solution.
Right. Well, thank you for your efforts. I know that particular, the concept of buying state troopers or contracting with state police services is something that our members have embraced and have welcomed and have sought for a number of years. So thank you for picking up the charge on that. In the state budget, there was a distribution of almost $3 billion of federal CARES Acts that went to county governments. Can you tell municipal governments how they would go about accessing those funds from the county governments where the legislature sent the money?
I think that it's important for the local townships and municipalities, I know each of them have their own associations, is be in contact with their county commissioners and develop a plan. I mean, I think some of the counties are going to give low interest loans, some case grants to small businesses. I would hope that the local police departments and the townships who have incurred costs will also be able to access those dollars through any number of programs that the counties will offer. The biggest problem, and I kind of got a little angry with our congressional delegation, but it's true nationwide, is that they choose to, they should have probably sent it to the state so we could have made sure that the local municipalities could have gotten it and grants directly through DCED. Now you're leaving up to county commissioners as to whether they care about that local government branch at the township level. I'm hopeful that most counties will do the right thing with that, help our fire and police departments as well, because that's the great needs there. So I would say the association, but also individual township supervisors have good relations with their commissioners, need to call them immediately. Don't wait, because before you know it, those dollars will be allocated and it will not be available to them.
You know, you supported Act 89, the landmark transportation funding law, a couple years back. So I know that you understand the role that local governments play in transportation infrastructure. Next year, people think that liquid fuels dollars are going to be reduced as a result of the shutdown and people driving less. And that's going to affect local road and bridge funding. Does the state have any plans to share any of the federal aid to help maintain local roads and bridges?
So I have called on, talked to the Secretary of Transportation, and I've talked to our congressional delegation for Pennsylvania, asking them to please, in any stimulus package that comes down, is do an infrastructure I think the one thing that would help all of us, and I've always been an advocate for highways and bridges, and in fact, I've voted for every bill that's come across the General Assembly since I've been there, is it would put people back to work, and if without a good infrastructure, economic development is difficult. So I think townships throughout our Commonwealth would benefit from infrastructure, not just highways and bridges, but also other improvements, extending lines, sewer and water lines. So I'm hopeful that President Trump and Congress will come up with some kind of a stimulus package for that. They've been talking about it for a long time. And the last stimulus package for highways and bridges, believe it or not, David, was 30 years ago. That was the last time the federal government increased funding to local governments and the states for our infrastructure.
Well, speaking of infrastructure, any thoughts on a coordinated, comprehensive solution to help all Pennsylvanians access broadband internet before unfortunately a generation may get left behind?
Right. I think in today's world, many people forget that not everybody can afford an iPad or a computer. So last year, as the Republican Appropriations Chairman, I worked with Speaker Cutler now, he was Majority Leader at that time, to allocate from the House dollars about $600,000 for some testing of broadband in areas like Clarion County, like Coming County and a few new counties like that, to experiment and see if what they were talking about would work everywhere. So I think we are willing to invest more money in broadband. I'm committed to that because even Speaker Cutler, who lives down in the Solanco area of Lancaster County, he has very difficult times communicating from his home, even his district office. So I think we in the General Assembly get it. The question is what technology will work?
Any final thoughts or comments about local government partners and how we can work together moving forward?
People assume that we as legislators know what's going on in every community. And we're very busy in Harrisburg sometimes, or like this crisis. We've been so focused on the COVID-19 that some things that are very critical sometimes slip by. So I'd say it's real important, for supervisors. And I encourage the supervisors across this state to actually go and sit down, have breakfast with, or even go into the office, but just sit down and just create a line of communications with their legislators. Don't wait till you have a problem or a need, because that relationship will pay off in the end for your community.
Okay. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks again, Representative Saylor, for being our guest. And remember, if you like what you're seeing, subscribe to PSATS YouTube channel and follow our social media pages for more Township Video News content. Next Tuesday, look for Dave Talk. And as always, thanks for watching.